Hi there, I'm Dylan from Sending It. Today we're going to do a bit of a rig rundown video of our Toyota Hilux. So we'll basically be covering a few items like electric suspension, tyres, bar work, engine stiffs and fuel tank systems. So without further ado, let's do it. So the first thing we're going to talk about today with the rig rundown is the 12 volt system throughout the car. That's the dual battery, the spotlights, the rear lights and compressors and 12 volt accessories. So the first cab off the rank is the King's Spotties. Now this is a bit of a touchy subject with people because yeah, King's is renowned to be cheap and crap, but I mean these Spotties have been unreal with the distance and the amount of power they generate down the road with lighting. The only little problem was the brackets are a little bit flimsy. You get a bit of vibration on corrugated tracks, but there's nothing. I just basically put some Loctite on the bolts there, and that's hold them firm. But other than that, I used to have a light bar across here, 22-inch double row, which used to be really good spread. These are not so good on the spread, but honestly, the advertising says 1,200 meters down the road, and you can dead set see as far as your eye can see. These will be shining up lights. Yo, this is just the 12 volt fuse box up the front of the vehicle. It runs 12 volt socket outlets and spotties, also just the UHF and a few other accessories up the front of the vehicle. I built this little bracket up off the side here, and this is just a little eBay fuse box that you can find on the internet. So that powers up the front. And at the back on the dual battery system, I've just got inline fuses on the rear battery. So not a battery box, just a few inline fuses because there's not as much accessories back there. So back here is the AOB air compressor that's used to activate the rear locker in the car and also pump the tyres up around the car. Now, this was an absolute nightmare to fit in amongst this area of the car. So in the future, I probably wouldn't put it there because, as you can see, you've really got to have little monkey fingers to be able to get these nuts and bolts together and get it all wired up. Other than that, it's a good little unit. So for our dual battery system in the back, we've just got a 120 amp hour AGM battery in the back of the canopy here. You basically just lift up one of the covers for the rear drawers here, and it reveals the DC to DC charger by CTEK down in here, battery box. There's just a little plug here with a cap on it for the solar panel input when you pull up, and a little cheap battery monitor which has just got your voltage levels that you can see where your battery is sitting and how much power is left in it. So that's just a simple setup in the back to power everything off the dual battery. So in the back here, I've got a 350 watt pure sine wave projector inverter. Now, I wouldn't really bother with anything other than pure sine wave, like a modified sine wave inverter, because a lot of the appliances these days are sensitive equipment like laptops, power tool chargers like Milwaukee or Makita chargers for the batteries. So there's not a lot of use for a modified sine wave in this day and age. So we've just got a 350 watt because we don't need a lot more power than that for the laptop or my hair straightener curling wand. So that's why we've ended up with a 350 watt. So this is where all the control happens. I've got the front King's driving lights isolated here. They just come on and off with the high beams like normal driving lights. This one here is for the rear lights in the back, which are controlled off the reversing lights, factory Toyota lights. There's just a relay and a control box underneath the tub there, and this will just isolate it. So if I ever need to, you're reversing up to someone, you don't want to blast their eyes, you can switch that off and isolate those. Ideally, next time I'll actually get a 3-position rocker switch, so then I've got the ability to go, position 1 would be override always on, so regardless if you're in reverse you can turn on your rear spotties. Central would be off, and the bottom position would be coming off reverse. Other 2 is just the rear air locker switch here, and this is the compressor switch. And that is basically it for the car, for control. So in the car I've got an 80-channel Uniden UHF with a second-hand GME aerial one of my mates gave me. I painted it black because it was a gross silver. Constant job, it keeps flicking off paint. But basically I've got the hand receiver up in the front of the car here. It's always sitting accessible, and you can't see the control box because all the controls are on the front here. And I placed that box, tucked it up on a bracket I made up underneath, just left of the clutch, behind all the controls up there. So I'll show you a clip which demonstrates where that's mounted on a little bracket, but it just makes it a lot tidier not having to see the control unit in the back. So for suspension on the car, we've just got Monster Rides adjustable coilovers on the front here, and on the back of the car there's 400 kilo constant load Old Man Emu leaves with Monster Rides Recon shockers. While we've got the car opened up in this side here, just showing you the Cal Off-Road upgraded CVs in here. A little bit stronger than the factory ones, so they've just been swapped out. So the rubber that I've got on the Toyota Hilux is a BFG KM2 mud terrain tyre. It's a 265 by 75 on a 16-inch rim. It's just a steel Sunraysia rim. I've got 4 of these mud terrains at the 32-inch sort of size, and then the spare in the back is just an all-terrain BFG, a bit cheaper but still the same size as all the others, so there's no issue for actually using the spare tyre. It is actually the same size as all the other tyres. And just the other day, these rims were actually almost like a navy blue. They were really a faded black, so me and Zali took them all off. We just did it one at a time and scuffed them up, got rid of all the flaking paint, and we just repainted it satin black with just a kill rust coat. So dressed it up a little bit, bring them back to life. So that was just something we did the other day to kill some time. And we've got some before and after photos right here. As for the bar work on the car, we've got a ARB combination winch bar on the front. That was just fitted by those guys at ARB. I put on the ARB side step on the side there. Also at the front it's just got TJM underbody protection. And to finish off the bar work, there is a Fat Bars rear bar on the back. Wow, this is the engine mods that you've all been waiting for. It's a 3-litre Toyota Hilux, so it's just full of power. The only engine mods I've got is a secondary fuel filter for the diesel coming in there. It's a 3 micron and a 30 micron filter on the incoming fuel there. And the other one I've got is a HPD catch can fitted there to catch any of those oily fumes coming out of the, or oily vapor coming out of the rocket cover. I think I've got that right. So got one of those fitted. Last but not least, the snorkel, which there's another video that I did which explains a bit more about the snorkel, but it's just a 4-inch J-Max stainless steel snorkel, and it's just factory airbox with factory filter, and that pretty much wraps up the engine itself. So as for the parts that are underneath the car, there's a TJM Pro locker, air locker on the rear diff. There's also a Brown Davis 150 litre long range fuel tank, and a 3-inch stainless exhaust running all the way from the front to the back. That wraps up everything underneath the car. Now, I just described where this exhaust goes. You probably would think it goes from the front to the back of the car, so I don't know why I have to explain that. So with these outback drawers, they're actually really handy, especially when you load them up with weight. They never get any heavier. It doesn't matter how much weight you put in there, they're always easy to push in and out. And if we didn't have these in the back of the car, it would be complete chaos. There would be stuff everywhere. It'd be impossible to get to all your bits and pieces all the time. You'd be pulling it all out everywhere you go. But we pretty much just put our sidewalls for the awning in there. A few spare shoes, tent pegs, poles, cooking equipment and some tarps. A few pots and pans, just smack the head on the thing. Fishing tackle box, recovery gear, tools, socket set, tyre repair kit. It all fits in there really well. And if we didn't have the drawers, you'd be climbing all over the place trying to grab all this stuff out, especially the smaller items that tend to break real easy. Like if you have that floating around in there, it's just going to get damaged. So the drawers make camping a lot easier. This is where we keep a bit of snorkeling gear and stuff. We just pop that open and you can store a lot of stuff down the side of the car. There's just sort of cleaning products and air compressor parts, snorkels, and they go back together. And the dual battery's in this one over here. But it's just an ARB canopy and with an alloy roof rack, which I got the shovel and the awning attached to, and some real knockoff cheap Max Tracks from eBay. That pretty much wraps up the car and all the parts that have gone into it to make it what it is today. Obviously you might have a couple of questions regarding, say, like the 270 awning. We'll probably do a bit of an in-depth review on that because it's just something we've put on the car not too long ago. So it's something that we could probably really explain the pros and cons that's gone into that. But other than that, the vehicle suits what we needed to do, and it hasn't cost us too much to get it up to this spot in which it is, and we're really happy with the way it is and what it does for us traveling around. Thanks for watching.